Hey, Gubby. Happy Saturday. And Guy?
I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Wait a second. I know this is working because I was working on OBS earlier today. Neuro, my brother. What's up, man? What am I forgetting here? Oh, I know what I'm forgetting. Hang on. Right back. Right. I think I've got everything in place for once. All right, let's see. What else do I have going on here? I got a whole bunch of everything turned on here. Oh, is that server even turned on? Yeah, it's on. Well, in theory, it's on.
Hello, IT. Have you tried turning it off and on again?
Well, that's what I'm trying right now. I haven't had to use the Ludus server, so now I'm trying to figure out what it's doing. Oh wait, is it not plugged in? Is that what it is? Am I an idiot?
What, your mom buy you a pewter for Christmas?
She did one time. I mean, that's plugged in. I think I got my networking cables backwards. Shut up, baby. I know it. I'm trying to figure out why I can't reach the server when the server's on. Well, now it's off. I think I just killed it because I am the biggest brain. The biggest of brains. I'll have to troubleshoot it here in just a second. Do I have this set up right? So I went through and I rewired a bunch of stuff on the rack because I added a new UPS to it. So now I got to figure that part out. Also, Guy, thank you for the resubscribing, Gumby. Yeah, I'm watching it. I'm here. Willie hears ya. Willie don't care. What's up, everybody? I meant to change into a less ratty shirt before the stream. Let's see. No, this server is really beefy when it connects. Let's see. There's 2 NICs on it. I think I messed it up and I plugged in the wrong NIC whenever I booted it up. So hang on, let me try this real quick. I mean, I'm gonna reach down here. I'm gonna change the Ethernet port. If I can find it. Oh no, I can actually see it throwing an error. I think that's the problem. I have been meaning, I need to go through and change the, what is it? I need to go through and change the battery on the RAID controller. It's got a hardware RAID controller. No. This is the stream's running on a different server. Hey Drew, what's up, brother? So, no, I had to pull the server out from the rack so I could wire in a new UPS. And so the new UPS is in, but I was trying to clean up some stuff when I did that. I don't think I plugged it in correctly afterwards. We'll see if I get the blinky light of death. Hang on, I'm gonna turn the fan on here because the office is an oven. All right, maybe that will do it. Let me see. Let's see. Damn it, I think I've still got the blinky light of death. Hack the planet. Let me see here. Shut up, baby, I know it. All right, well, the good news is I have this. Let me grab this real quick. There it is. All right, so this little guy here is very handy because I run most of my servers headless in the house, right? But when I need to console into them, this is just a tiny LCD screen. So I can wire this guy up real fast here and see what is happening. Let's see. Get it some power. Get it an HDMI connection somewhere. All right. All the stuff I was working on today, I did nothing but like sit in the office and work on stream stuff. So a lot of the alerts should be fixed now. Like I went through and I fixed the audio for them. However, I didn't even think about checking the server. Okay, it says it's up now. It says it's up. Let's try.
Bullshit, I can't.
Hey, let's go.
Sound off like you got a pair.
What do you mean? Dirty liar, 57. I love Bender. All right. Well, now the downside is that just means I killed the dev server when I did that. So let me get that back up and running. So I'm going to boot up the router and I need to boot up dev and test 2 and test 1. We'll actually need to go through and set up Apache and PHP tonight so we can start working on doing the test for Arachne. And then doing the test for Poseidon shouldn't be that hard. 95 degrees is always a good temperature for the server room. No, Drews. No, Drew. No. All right, we'll give these just a second to start up here. Which one's 121? Oh, that's the big box. Okay. These two are little boxes. This one's a little box. This one is the big honking box, which I probably should have given it more RAM now that I think about it. Let me see. I think I give it 32 gigs and 8 processors. Yeah, we're going to change that. Except I don't remember my binary math that well. 65,536. Okay. Because this server has not megs. Good lord, no. Oh, it doesn't like the comma. There we go. What do you mean? Oh, it might be because it's still in a starting state. Let me check the console on it real fast here. Okay, so it's up and running. Well, I'll tell you what, let's shut it down then. Let's see, go ahead and... No, shut down. Yes. There we go. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to boost the RAM on it because we're running a lot of different workloads on this box. So, and I've got... How much do I even have on this thing? Let me see. We've got 251 usable gigs of memory, and we're not running a ton. So I think I can throw 64 at my dev box. I think we'll be good there. All right, so that should have been shut down already. Let me boost this real quick. And then now we'll start it. Boop. Love it. There we go. I have fooled around with Hyper-V, Drew, and in fact, at an old job that I had, like one of my first IT jobs after the college, they actually sent me to a course because there's a big Microsoft campus here in the Dallas area. It was all about Hyper-V, and it actually sounded pretty freaking cool. And so I started messing with it for a while and quickly decided I hated it and was never going to touch it again. So yeah, that was my Hyper-V experience there. That might have changed now because now granted this was like 10 years ago. Yeah, this was like 10 years ago when I did that, and VMware hadn't turned into like just utter hot garbage since then. No, it hasn't changed. All right, let me see if I can remote into this guy now. Hey, there we go. Now, unfortunately, I always have to double check, even though I know the server is a fresh boot and it's not going to work. No, let me exit out of that. I can't type. I got my keyboard all over. Let's see. Rename window. This will be our Mythic MCP work. And then I think I had that over in. There we go. There we go. I think it's resumed here. We might be able to pick up where we left off with this. Yeah, I think this is the conversation we just did. Use high effort. Maximum effort! Let's do this. In Server 2024, you have the GUI now all the time for Hyper-V. So there was always like, they had the really trash interface for it, the GUI interface for Hyper-V. And I really wanted to like it, but then when I realized I was going to have to go build every virtual machine by hand because I wasn't going to be able to use any of the VMDKs, at least not easily, for simple stuff, like even just loading up a Kali VMDK, that was a beatdown. And I didn't want to go through a lot of the process for it. So Hyper-V sounded really awesome. It did. At the same time, oof. That does sound like a good idea, Guy. I'll see about trying to put something like that together. All right, let me check something here. I don't know what any of these are. What's that? Ah, here we go. So everything's already on Le Master. PR created. Pull request 4. Hold on. Wasn't that one already... I thought we already merged pull request 4. Yeah, we already did. That one's already merged. Okay. Let's get that. Yeah, do like a working, like a co-working stream. That'd be fun. I gotta figure out what nights to do that though. My nights are so packed. Back many moons ago, did you play with DOS at all? I never got super deep into DOS. However, DOS was the first operating system I used on a computer. And when I say I used it, I mean I used it on my dad's computer. Back in, you know, when was that? Probably 1988, 1989, that time-ish. So, when did Windows 3.1 come out? Let's see. When was that released? Yeah, because Windows 3.1 didn't even come out to 1992. And actually, for a long time, I wasn't even using Windows because I only had my dad's computer to work on. He was using OS2 Warp back in the day. So the main reason, Guy, I don't incorporate something like that into the stream is because I'm ultimately responsible for everything said and done on the stream. That's why, even though it doesn't bother me, I have to enforce the English only rule in chat, because if somebody says something in a language I don't understand and I don't moderate the chat, or Gumby doesn't moderate the chat because we don't know what they're saying, we can get in trouble for that. Like, oh, you didn't take care of your chat and stuff. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. All right. What was the last thing we actually just did? I gotta go look. Since I pretty much missed all of last week. Oh, that's right. We expanded the Apollo stuff. So we already have the Arachne one in there. So, hold on. Let me pull up. Hang on one sec. Gotta find my notepad. There it is. All right. One sec. Let me drag that over here. Okay. Bring this over here. Because what we're going to do is, let's go have it start working on a new spec here. The new spec is going to be, this is going to be the Poseidon Agent plugin. Let's see. Agent built-in plugin support. There we go. Let's get that spec started. We can let it run in the background, taking care of a couple other things. Yeah, well, yes, technically Elite Speak would be a loud band because I can read Elite. Did you hear they're trying to do age verification on operating systems now? Yeah, good luck with that. What are you going to do? You want to accelerate everybody moving to Linux where you have even less control of them?
23, see what's up.
Yeah, you're going to be echoing 23 all day long. You keep trying to pull that crap. I think you could actually... And yes, Christopher, Pig Latin, I do, God, I just tried to say something in Pig Latin and I completely brain farted because it's been so long. I could read it. I don't think I could speak it right now. I probably haven't done Pig Latin since I was a kid. What is going on here? What is it doing? Hang on, let me double check something real quick. Oh, it looks like it was syncing. Oh, it's checking which specs we've done. Okay. Good, so it's working on that now. So going back to the operating system thing, Gumby, I think as soon as they let every member of Congress know that, hey, by the way, your iPhone and your Android tablet or your PC at home, all those naughty things you've been doing, you've been age verified for. Good luck. Okay, cool. So it's looking up all the stuff for Poseidon right now. Excellent. I mean, the same people that you think won't pass this, though, Guy, are the same people that passed Prohibition back in the day. So, and the only reason that's on my mind is because Friday night I took Sock to go see... Her big thing is musicals. She likes musicals. So I took her to go see The Great Gatsby musical on Friday. That's like our once a month date night. We'll go out and do that. So like dedicated, absolutely. Kids are with family and just the two of us going out.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
Killa, you're giving me trust issues, bro. Anyway, so that's why Prohibition was on my mind because we went and saw Great Gatsby on Friday. And I don't even remember the book because that was in high school when I last read it. Only thing I remembered was it was something about Prohibition. And something about like rich people being crazy. It was like the original, like, you know, crazy rich Asians. This was kind of like that, but it was just crazy rich white people in Prohibition after World War I. Happy Saturday. I hope everybody's having a great day. All right, I think everything's up and running. Let me disconnect this real quick. I can take off the troubleshooting screen. Get this wired back up. Okay. Yeah, so I was able to get an additional backup battery for my APC for the rack. So now, instead of one battery, it's got two batteries. What this will mean is, when I have the next power outage, because for some reason the power around here is hot garbage, which is weird. I've lived in this house for 7 years, and I've never had this many problem issues, or like power issues, I should say. Deepest, what's up, man? Currently watching your previous CRTO streams while studying for the CRTS material. Thanks for providing this. Hey, no problem, dude. I have been meaning to go through the new CRTO stuff just so I could provide like some explanation on it. I just haven't had the time. I haven't done. It's weird because like I just finished at the end of December. I finished a big Windows environment penetration test, and it was cool because it had like internal and cloud components. It was a big deal. But it feels like even after almost 3 months now, well, 2 full months, I should say, because it finished in January. It always feels like I'm getting rusty. So I had to just go hop in there and go mess around with it. Let's see. Where was I going? Here we go. All right, so we need to go to clarify now. No clarification. Oh, okay. Since it said, hey, we're already up identical to Apollo, so no clarify. I'm going to run clarify anyway. Just because I want to see what it comes back with. Because right here it's telling me it doesn't need to run the clarification step. But it's like, really? Do you really? Hack of the Mexican federal government using Claude and then Hegseth calling Anthropic supply danger is weird though. Dude, the whole freaking thing is weird, Chris. Because everything is... And it's... So I've been trying to think about this. I've been doing more or less thought experiments about this. Let me clear this out real quick. Because I'm trying to think what's going to happen, right? Essentially, any knowledge worker, which I fall into that category, in the future, in theory, their demand is going to go... Because AI demand is going to go like this, right? But I don't know if that's the exact way of everything that's going to go. So I kind of took this to its logical extreme. I was thinking about what happens in kind of cycles in the economy. And if you think about it, what you have is you've got somebody who's producing something, right? So you've got a producer. What they're ultimately going to do is they're going to sell that to a consumer. So they sell that to a consumer. And then after the consumer buys it, right? Then this is essentially the cycle here. There was more to it. I got to go double check my notes. I was working on it really late at night one night. But the problem is, what happens here when the producer has nobody to sell to? There's no longer a consumer because everybody's out of work because everything has been automated by AI. Essentially, you're just producing to produce right here. And if you start looking at it, the amount of your GDP, and every government is like got the biggest erection for GDP. But GDP, there we go. This is, if I remember right, 38% of that is consumer spending. So that's these guys up here spending money. So if you instantly wipe 38% off of your GDP because there's nobody here buying, the producers are just producing to produce, that's not a sustainable solution. So there has to be something that's going to happen here. What I kind of think is going to happen is, and if you just saw, what was his name? Was it Jack Dorsey, the guy who created Twitter? And over there at Block. So the guys at Block, they had 8,000 employees, right? They just slashed that down to 4,000. And they said, basically, we're doing one big cut rather than doing lots of small cuts because we noticed that having smaller, more agile, flat teams was working better for their development. I kind of look at this as probably what happened is they overhired. And then now they're just doing a right sizing to that and they're blaming AI for it. Now, not necessarily saying they're blaming it. I mean, they are blaming it for it, but that's their reasoning they're giving for it. Okay. So let's say this happens like across all companies. They're like, hey, we could be twice as productive with half the workforce. Okay, cool. So let me see. Well, actually, it doesn't even matter because we can think about this. So of the current amount of people that are employed in the US, let's extrapolate this to an extreme degree. So this goes like to 50%, right? That's terrible. So let's say 50% unemployment becomes the new normal. There's no way this is sustainable. But let's imagine that there is a case where this happens. This is where you have something called a K-shaped economy, right? So what you have here is, how do I want to label these axes? More or less, this is how well you're doing over time, right? And then this is, let's say, your quality of life right here. There's going to be people going like this, and there's going to be people going like this. You can't really have a stable economy like that because I can guarantee you the people who are enforcing the folks who live up here are going to be down here. That's kind of what's going to happen. So there's definitely going to be some changes to it. I don't foresee how it's going to become the big post-scarcity utopia like we've seen in Star Trek, right? I just don't see how that's going to work. Yeah, UBI has to come from somewhere. And if they're going to try and go in this approach where, and this is like maybe a low figure here, this could probably even go up, then that still has to come from somewhere. Your work unit, which is your dollars, right? That has to come from somewhere. So I'm working on something for that, like a little, probably something I'll post up on X, but just because I've been wanting to play with X articles and whatnot. Okay, nothing needed there. But it was a little just thought experiment I was messing around with. The only way this is going to work is if you have UBI and give people just enough for subscriptions. That's a really sad thought, though, Killa. Dude, if we have to depend on my economics band, we're toast. We are hot toasted. Although I do have one hot take on economics. I think the biggest screw up in economics was when they started putting math into it, because ultimately, yes, there is some math, but the math is derived from the psychology of the people in the economy. Because ultimately, the economy is made up of the people. That's the fundamental work unit. We get space travel to expand beyond Earth. I mean, that would be really cool. The hard part there, too, is the last estimate I saw, Chris, of how they've worked on any kind of, let's say, fast propulsion system, something like a warp-style engine. It needed the ultimate energy mass of something like Jupiter. That's a lot of mass. That's a lot of energy. So now in Star Trek, they got around that, right? They said, hey, by the way, we're going to take matter and antimatter and slam them into this one particular type of dilithium crystal, and that's going to make warp plasma. I was like, all right, cool. And then that would power the warp engines. And then, of course, they got a little bit more hand-wavy with it. Like, oh, we're going to dump raw warp power into the shields. That's not how that works. But we're going to pretend. You know what? We're going to go with quantum magic for sci-fi. We're going to let that happen. All that being said, much as I like ripping on the inaccuracies of the science in Star Trek, I still love Star Trek. Oh, you know what I just realized? I think I did not change the channel here. Yep, I didn't change that stuff. Where is it? I forgot to reset the channel title when we were getting started here. That's another thing to automate. All right, cool. Got that going. What else did I need to look at here? All right, so we're working on the Poseidon plugin. We will need, let's see. I got to double check. I got to remember how to go set up Apache and PHP onto Debian. Because what I need to do is I need to get into... Did I not set up a page for test 1? Sounds like a fail on my part. Guess I didn't. All right, let me add a new SSH connection here. Let's see. So this will be... Because test... Oh, let me double check. Cancel. Cancel. Test 1 should have been... Well, there's Hack the Box here. Test 1, I think, is our Debian box. That one's 8 and 4. What's test 2? Test 2, I'm pretty sure, is our Windows box. 16 and 4? Yeah, that was the Windows box. Okay. So let me go set up a connection for test 1 real quick. Let's add a new terminal. This will be test 1 Debian. And what was the IP address of this box? I don't remember. 10.5.10.11 maybe. Let me see. I think it shows me in here if I come over to... Let me blow this up. Ah, there we go. Console? No, it wasn't console. That's not what I wanted. thought it showed me in here. It does not. That's fine. We'll just come over here. I think it's hack the box. Hey, there we go. Let me double check the Ludus. Okay, so test 1 was 51, not 11. All right, so let me fix that real quick. Because I need to get in there. I need to start setting up the Apache server for Arachne. And then where's my credentials in here? Credentials. So I think it was Debian and Debian for the password. Hey, there we go. Now we're cooking with propane. Let me save that. All right, let's do something real quick. Let's go ahead and get the box updated real fast here. Let that run. All right. So at CERN, they do make a tiny amount of antimatter. And to give you an idea of like how much energy is in like a raisin-sized chunk of antimatter, you're looking at basically, if you ever saw the old STS shuttle launches from NASA, the ones with the 2 smaller side boosters and the giant, liquid tank, that energy, the entire energy expenditure for that one launch was roughly about the energy expenditure of a raisin-sized chunk of antimatter. So, I was just thinking about in the Matrix, didn't the humans reject the first version because it was too perfect? They did. At least that was their story. I have a different headcanon for that, Chris. And that is that the Matrix was actually created by the machines as punishment for the humans. And the reason for that is because Morpheus even says in the first movie that, he is led to believe that they are using the humans as batteries for energy to power their compute systems, right? That is a horribly inefficient power generation system. But he also says that combined with a new form of fusion. Fusion puts out a crap ton of energy. So if you just kind of extrapolate from that, they've got all the energy they need. They literally kept the humans around for whatever reason, but in my headcanon, the idea is they did it to punish humanity for scorching the sky, for blocking everything out. Oh, Killa. So what we're working on is we currently have our dev box here working on, we got Claude over here working on the Mythic MCP server because we have 3 built-in agents for it. We've got Apollo, Arachne, and Poseidon. We've only built Apollo and Arachne. Apollo is pretty much fully tested. Looks like it's doing well. Arachne is untested. Poseidon is unbuilt. So we're building Poseidon right now, and I'm setting up the test box for that. So that way we can get it up and running, and then we can run the Poseidon test. Once Poseidon is good, then we'll actually have Arachne we'll start working on testing Arachne. And so the plugin system is now all YAML based. They can this way the various agent authors can come through and create their own YAML definition for the commands in their agent, and then bam, you copy that YAML over to the MCP server, and you've got a full list of tooling that's available to you. Everyone in the first Matrix thought they were dead. Yeah. I didn't think that. I didn't know what the Matrix was really going to be. And I thought the Matrix was so amazingly groundbreaking at the time. Like I liked it, especially as a younger man who liked anime but didn't really get super deep into it. And then many years later, when I watched something like Ghost in the Shell, I was like, oh man, they just kind of ripped off Ghost in the Shell and expanded it. Also, I had a way better prediction in my mind of what was going to happen in this third Matrix than what actually happened. Also, Not sponsored by Jocko yet. What I was expecting in the third Matrix, because I was already messing with computers and I think virtualization at that time, was basically they had virtualized the Matrix to further subjugate humanity, where they had simulated the Matrix inside of a second Matrix, right? So they had it nested so that even if the humans broke out, they wouldn't realize they had broken out. That was kind of my thought where they were going with that. All right, let's see here. Checklist area focus. Config and schema correctness. Let's see. Test coverage requirements. D. Give me the D. Big D. I want all of the above. I want test coverage, cross-plugging, consistency. I want all those to kind of match to each other. We got to cover the full thing. Let's see. Depth level. Standard. Go to standard depth. All right. While that's running, let me see here. We need to get good old Apache 2 installed. Also, this is a super lightweight Debian, so I need to put some creature comforts in here. Let's see. What do I want here? I think it's Net Tools, BIM. What else do I want here? We'll start with those. Is it Net Tag Tools? There we go. Give me that if config. My fiance always asks for the D. Good. You should give her the full coverage. That's what we're talking about. All you'll get your mind out of the gutters. This D was all the above, full coverage. So you just have whitelist for the tools, and IPs allowed since been working on MCP2. In this case, there's not really much to that. Although, Chris, I am thinking about adding a dynamic tool loader. So let's say, for example, you've got the Mythic MCP server set up, right? There's a lot of tools in here. So for example, I think we had 76 commands that'll be covered in Poseidon, right? So you've got 76 commands worth of metadata that's going to be eating up your context window. So something to try and help out some of the agents that may not have tool searching. There's going to be a meta command in here. I don't think we've implemented it yet, where you can tell it, it can say, hey, these are the agents I have, and these are the agents I want access to. So you can come back and say, I'm only using Poseidon right now for this session. So it can then go through and load up all the tools for Poseidon and then just present those. Same thing for like Apollo or Arachne, and you could be able to hot swap it in at any time. So that way, at least if it's a less refined agent that wants to use this, they can get a subset of commands instead of getting every command for every agent or every plugin that's been loaded into it. Okay. Oh, hold on. What happened here? So after plan, run after task before implement. Was this our analyze? Oh, so we just ran our checklist. Hang on, let me scoot this over because the line breaks are messing me up. So clarify is before you do the planning. We already did clarifying. Analyze is after task but before implement. So we haven't done that yet. And then checklist, run after plan. Okay, we did that already. Actually, hold on, what did we just run? We ran our checklist. So we were at checklist, so now we will run tasks. I believe analysis comes after the tasking. Yes. I don't know what happened here. It got kind of jumbled a bit. Let's take that, put it right back. There we go. Hardcore mode. All right, got it. Speaking of agents going wild, did y'all see the head of Meta's AI alignment threw up Claudebot and gave it access to her mail inbox and her email inbox, and it just started wiping everything? You'd think that should be somebody who knows better, right? You'd think that's somebody who might be a little bit more aware of what happens when you give an AI system excessive agency. All right, let's see. I'll be honest with you right now, I'm just throwing PHP commands at the wall to see what sticks. Because I've never had to set up a PHP server from scratch. Let me see here. Put that there. There we go. That one there. All right, let this churn for just a second. All right, now let's enable our good old PHP here. All right, so we should already be enabled. And then let's set up a quick PHP info. All right, so Apache is listening right here. Good, good. So if I curl, let's do 127.0.0.1. See, that's what I knew that. Sudo install curl. I like the music. I have a pretty decent mix of music in here. I think this one is, yeah, if you look down here, there's the music that's currently playing. This is one of the songs from Pirate Software's game, Heartbound, because he allows it to be used. So for the longest time when I started streaming, I only had that music because I got so tired of fighting with DMCA BS over songs that were good on Twitch but weren't good on YouTube and vice versa. And then over time, folks have come in and said, like, hey, here's all the here's other sources you can use for your music. Yeah, there we go. So Red Siege, 2Bob, they were able to come through and provide some extra playlists for the background. I think she learned a very important lesson, guy. All right, let's see. All right, now can we curl it? Hey, there we go. Let's see. Contents. Excellent. Excellent. Let me do something real quick. Let me pull up. Oh, I don't know if it's going to be on. We'll see. It's not running. Damn it. What is it? Let me see if I can get the VNC server up and running. Hey, it worked on the first go. Let's go. No. I just want to double check this in the web browser. Let's see, this was 10.5.10.52. Is that the right IP address? No, this is 51. All right. Oh, there's our default Apache page. And I believe, what was the page we actually put in, though? Info PHP. That's what it was. Let me just double check this is working correctly. Okay, cool. So PHP is up and working now. So we can just drop in our good old Arachne web shell anytime we need to hit it. Excellent. Excellent. Good. Good. All right, so that was our task list. What do we have next? So after task, then we do some analysis. We do some analyzing. Analyze. There we go. For DMCA, they weren't even going after fair use the other day. What do you mean, Chris? I mean, because a lot of IP holders are notorious for going after folks that are completely screwing up, like completely using fair use, right? Nintendo being one of the most obvious ones. Yeah, I know. Killa. 57 lives in the future. We get some folks actually in from Australia sometimes on the stream, and they're living in the way future. And not a one of those turds dares to try and send me any lottery tickets. It's rude. All right, let's see here. Okay, that ambiguity I'm not worried about. So T17 spot checks could include a macOS only command description insertion. Yeah, actually for C1, we do want to namespace those commands for Mac. Let's see. So for C1, tool names should be, yeah, tool names for Mac only commands should end in, let's see, Mac OS. I didn't mean to send that. Break out of that. Let me see. What else do we have in here that needs to be addressed? So coverage, yeah, we do want those. Let's see. Choice assertion for 17 already checked in curl params. I think we already got that. Duplication, let's see. That one, I'm not fine. I'm fine with that one. What about this inconsistency here? So research lists 5 code injection commands. T09 only lists 4. I'll let that one stand for now. Let's see. What about this one? Coverage gap. No task explicitly validates the mythic command defaults are correct. But some Poseidon commands may differ. Let's see. I'm going to say for F1, follow recommendation. There we go. We'll clean those up. It sucks in the future. I'm sorry, man. Oh. Oh, good. Hey, Gumby, did you notice over on Kick, it auto-modded that spam message? That's handy. Hey, Chris, what's up, man? All the next level Blaise Bittens got me wanting to Blaze Bits. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I love you, but you're crazy. All right, let's see. So I think we've already got this up and running now. Let me see if I can get over into... Oh, wait, that was an old box, wasn't that? Yeah, let me delete that out because that connection's no longer valid. Here we go. Let's log into Le Mythic here. It goes Blaise. Password 1234. Super secure password. C2 internal server not running, but container online. What do you mean? Not accepting connections? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué no? Oh, we may have something conflicting with that. Let's go check on the box real quick. Let's see, what's listening on 80? Apache 2. Ah, that's what it is. Stop Apache 2. And then now we might be able to get that one back up and running. I think to restart this, though, I have to do it from the command line. What'd you do? Embed connection. There we go. Oh, how do I do that? I think it's cd2 opt mythic. And then mythic CLI. I think it's, if I want to say it's restart HTTP. Oh, that was not what I intended to do. Like, it was like restarting Rabbit and everything else in there. I was like, that was not expected. That's all right. That's all right. Let's see. What happened? Everything went. All right, everything just crapped out on me when I embed this web browser. You're killing me, Smalls. Let me try logging back in. Maybe that'll fix it. This is a React-heavy application. What do I start it in debug mode? I don't know. Let's go see if it's up and listening, though. Hey, there we go. All right. I need to disable Le Apache DOS. I think it's, what is it? Sudo system ctl. I think it's disable. Apache 2. There we go. Now it shouldn't start up whenever the system boots and interfere with Mythic. Yeah. I think we took a wrong turn and went into an alternate timeline. I ask myself that question every day since about March 1st of 2020. It's like, did we just divert into like the horrible timeline? All right, let's go see where we're at with this. Okay, so we updated those. Awesome. So that gets us after good old and analyzing. So now we can just implement this. Do it. So we'll let it go build it now. That'll take it probably about 5 minutes to build out that implementation. Nice. So when looking at fair use, there's been several new cases in the courts lately. Definitely loan because of language models. Oh yeah, dude, I bet. I wouldn't doubt that at all. I was joking with some folks about Anthropic being all butthurt that someone distilled their model when they basically distilled the entire internet and had to pay, what was it? I think $1.7 billion settlement they had to pay? Let me see here. I don't want to do this. I want to come over here and... Where's our payloads? Payloads. Can I do... I want to delete these payloads. I'm trying to see if there was a bulk action here. Because we have 33 pages of payloads. Hold on, we might be able to actually use something from the MCP server to kind of test that out. Hey, Bobby. Happy Sunday, dude. It's like, hey, do you want to switch to the Opus 1 million context and do API billing? Sure don't. So there's a double-edged sword to what they're doing, Guy, over at Anthropic. They have a noble goal. However altruistic their goals are, they're also being very like authoritarian, and this is the absolute we're the only ones who can be trusted as the arbitrator of what is a good and safe AI system. That's basically the way they're putting it up. So they're a bit smug and a bit high in the horse, however lofty their goals are. That being said, I do like Opus 4.6. It seems to be running fairly well. Hang on one second. All right. I could feel like a piece of something stuck in my teeth from dinner, and I was not about to try to dislodge that on stream. All right, so I'll worry about deleting these payloads in just a second. Let's go make a new Arachne payload. Generate new payload. It'll be for Linux, yes. We're gonna do Arachne. We're gonna start fresh. It's gonna be the freshest of payloads. Let's see. All this is fairly straightforward, except... Oh, I should go make a... Actually, hold on. Before we do this, I constantly do this. So, quick pro tip in Mythic. Before you go generate your payload, go generate your C2 connections. So, this one has its own channel called Web Shell. It's very specific for it. So, what you can do is come over here to the little disk icon. And you can come over here and you can save like different ones. So, for this, I'm going to use... And we'll just do a new instance here. All right, so cookie name. This is all the various information right here. So for the URL, we're going to do 10.5.10.51 slash... let's see. Yeah, we'll call it test payload. .php. Actually, does it need to be .php? I'm trying to remember. I'll just take out info. Well, that, of course, is not going to find it. Okay, so we don't have any specialization in there, so we do need to actually specify the extension, which will be .php. Instance name. Oh, this will be test box 1. There we go. So that creates us our C2 channel. Now, when we come over and actually generate the payload, it'll be pretty easy. So we'll start fresh. We'll let it do all this kajazz. Actually, I'm going to tell it to do this unencrypted. I'm going to say do unencrypted because if I need to go sniff packets to actually see what's flying back and forth, I can do that. And then here is actually where we select that. So we'll do test box 1. It pre-populates. If we had a bunch of different configurations, we could do that in here. So that'll be good. And then now we're going to call this Arachne test box 1 payload. Create payload. So now you know, so we got a new callback. That's not exactly correct. It's a pseudo callback to handle the interactions because this is acting like a bind shell in here. So quick refresher for everyone here. Typically, when you've got two systems here, right? So let's say we've got our C2 box here, and we've got our victim box over here. Usually what happens is we send some kind of like an exploit, right, over to our victim. So when we send the exploit, then we actually expect that code to call back to us. So this is called a reverse shell, or just a rev shell for short, right? That's our rev shell. This is the usual flow that happens. However, what we're doing is we're actually not running this on the victim's computer directly. We're running this inside of a subprocess, which is their PHP system. So in this case, it's Apache, right? So in here, this Apache is now going to house our payload. So we have our payload.php. right here. So this is actually what we're talking to. There's nothing though that's going to trigger this until somebody actually visits the URL where that endpoint, where that payload lives. So what we have to do is when we want to initiate it is we got to talk to it first. So we initiate the conversation down to it, and then we wait for its response to come back right here. So this, you could actually kind of think of it as something called a bind shell in here. It's not exactly correct. It's technically a web shell, but they operate the same way. It doesn't do anything until you talk to it. Reverse shell, as soon as it executes, it calls back to us and establishes a connection. This just sits there, doesn't do anything until we talk to it first. So what we're going to do is we're going to load it up in there, and then to make Mythic work, we already have a callback established in here. Notice how there's no data. We don't know what the IP address is, what the host name or user, domain. We have no telemetry on the system. This system here, every time we go and send it a command, then it will go talk to the URL we embedded in the C2 profile and send the data appropriately formatted for it to execute. So what we need to do now is, let's come back over to our payloads. Let's do something here. View the payload config. I believe we can just host this real quick. We'll call this Arachne test payload .php. Submit that. See if I can actually just copy this link. I might be able to just copy this right here. That's fine. Let's go over to test 1 and see if we can download that real quick. So let's go over to bar tripdubs HTML. Let's see, we got nothing. So we have nothing in here. So now let's wget that real quick. So that should be, where does that need to go? I guess it needs to go to HTTPS. We'll see, 10.5.10.10. And then it should download it from, crap, what did I call that? Yes. Actually, hang on. I might be able to just download this right here. Copy. You can host it in there. I don't ever do that. And so I always have to think about the commands on it. So let's do this. Cool. Cool. Thank you. I think insecure will work. Damn it. What is it for? Can't type. Still can't type. There we go. I gotta remember what the command is for insecure connections. Let's see. Is that really it? You have to do tac no check certificate? Well, that is annoying. I should have just done that through curl. All right. Fine. It's throwing that error. It's a permission denied because we didn't have right permissions to this. Let's see. And then let's move 05. I got to figure out where it matched into our C2 profile. Let me go double check that. Let's see. Web shell. Test box 1. Test payload PHP. So that's what we want to rename it to. Oh, yeah, continue. There we go. So now we should have it up there. It should be accessible. Actually, let me double check something real quick. Yep, so we have test payload.php. So let's go back over to our Mythic interface, go back to our callbacks, and what we can do, let me change this real quick. Let's do split task. There we go. All right, so let's tell it to check in. Hey, there we go. So what it did whenever we did this is it followed this flow here. We sent it a command. In this case, we sent it like a check-in command, right? And it went through, it sent that command to our PHP payload, got the data, returned back whatever the data was for that. Boom. So now we have a testing payload where we can actually go through and test all this stuff out. Yeah, I agree with you, Guy. Anthropic should not be the only ones kind of dictating that scenario. And in fact, it's kind of given me a different view of believe it or not, Avengers. What was it? Civil War? Was that the name of the actual movie where they're actually fighting amongst each other? I can't remember. It's been so long since I saw the Avengers movies. But in there, I was always Team Cap, right? They shouldn't be doing stuff like that. Like, they should have some autonomy to go through and save people. And now I'm like, maybe I should have been Team Iron Man. Sock was Team Iron Man. We constantly bickered back and forth about it. So I agree on Anthropic's goal, but they should be more open to than that. And why give it to the Department of War the confidence it needs to do what's best for the people? Well, what I think is funny is they're all talking about, hey, we don't want AI to be this mass surveillance system, which I think is a fantastic thing. Your expectation of privacy does not mean you have something to hide. It is a basic human right to, hey, I just want to be able to go do things in my life. And if you ever want to know what the downside of that is, just go look at China and the social credit score. So imagine just because you did something, and think about it not from like what you would do, right? Think about like, oh, if this was applied to somebody else who's doing stuff I don't like, yeah, that would be good for them. You always have to flip that around, because it constantly happens all the time in politics, right? Where they go through and they put some kind of new rule in, and they're like, oh, this is going to be for protecting democracy. And then as soon as the other party gets into power, then they're like, oh my God, they're using the rule that we created to destroy democracy. You always have to think like chess. You need to be playing chess, not checkers. Thinking ahead, like, how could somebody turn this back around on me, right? See, even I think public surveillance is... So there's a big blow up right now in the US over something called flock cameras. Guy, I don't know if you've seen that. But these are small autonomous cameras. They're usually solar powered. They're placed in different areas, and they have license plate readers. And they're placed like all over the city, and they're run by a private entity. So there's no Fourth Amendment protections against unreasonable searches, anything like that. So it's a lot of privacy issues. I'm not even doing it justice. There's a ton of YouTube videos up on it where they go much more in depth into it. A couple of my buddies here in the area have really gone deep into it. Yeah. So the idea there is, okay, cool. So you've got this whole flock of cameras, and then you have some kind of AI powered system behind them analyzing things. It's just the recipe for dystopia. Like, we've been warned about this in literature for a very, very long time. I need to clean my glasses. They're nasty. I need to double check something, actually, because I think... Actually, I guess not. Nah, it's fine. All right, cool. So this is still building. We've got our test payload up. Oh, you know what let's do? Let's go ahead and go create a test Poseidon payload also, because we will need that. Let's see, where's Poseidon? Poseidon, I believe, uses regular HTTP. So let's go make a new Poseidon payload. Poseidon. Architecture, debug, Gerbil, static. I want you to only use HTTP. And then this one, test calling. Yes, this should be good. Except we're going to do a none on there. Poseidon test payload. There we go. So good. Our test payload's running. We should be able to just wget that over to that test server. So test server 1 is going to be running double duty. It's going to be testing for Poseidon and Apache PHP. And then on our Windows box is where we'll have Apollo. So actually, let's go pull up the Windows box real quick. And let's go get that Apollo test callback established. Let's see. Downloads. Apollo. There we go. So now we got a new callback for our Apollo. So one of the things we can also do right here is we can come over here and we can edit the description, and we'll call this our, well, let's see, Arachne test payload. Change that, and then there's our description. There it is. And then this one, I'm going to rename this one too. Let's change this to Apollo test payload. What did I just do? What just happened? I don't know. Reconnect. I broke it. I broke it bad. There we go. Let's log back in. I don't know why, for some reason, I refreshed it. It completely borks the right-hand side here. I hit like F11 or something. Let's see. Apollo test payload. Submit. There we go. So that way we'll know that these are our testing ones in here. And then let's go see, did our Poseidon payload finish building? It did. Fantastic. So let me come over here. I'm going to just download this mamma jamma right here. Let's see, copy. And then let's do freaking wget. What was that command? What was the actual command line argument? Allow insecure? Yeah, that was it. I'm going to go ahead and run this as root since it is... Actually, we don't need to run this as root. It'll be fine. Yeah. No check certificates. There we go. And then let's move that to, we'll call this our Arachne test payload.bin. And then let's chmod that bad boy. And then we'll just run it. Hey, we got a new callback. Excellent. However, that's going to hose up this interaction here. So we're going to kill that. And we're just going to run it in the background. There we go. So now we'll have that up and running. This one is dead, so let's hide that one. And let's edit this one here. So this one will be our pose item test payload. There we go. And we'll make that red. There we go. Got it. All right, cool. A Palantir is dangerous too, Saruman. Yeah, no joke, man. You're right, Kobo. You're absolutely 100% correct. Wait, why did this one die? Oh, because that's Arachne. That one should be kind of dead. Who am I? There we go. Yeah, the last check-in for Arachne is going to be weird. Although what's funny is it's running as root, so that's kind of hilarious. All right, let me catch up on the chat here real quick because I was forgetting it. Let's see. Similar to exploit development, if you work in that field and you do it for the government, you have no say in how your work is used, and you would never know it really, but you can imagine. And just because the government says they won't do XYZ doesn't mean they have to hold true forever. That is very true. No, dude, you're absolutely right. People who say, I trust the government, are really saying they don't know history. Case in point, just go look at the Tuskegee experiments. Or any other numerous human rights violations that every government around the world has done at one point or another. Love your country, but make sure you keep a close eye on your government. This red is blowing my eyeballs out. All right, let's go ahead and commit this. And then we'll check and see how it works. Let's see. I believe I could fly. Actually, let me look at something in here. I want to go see what... I think it's source plugins. Yeah, plugins built in. And then let's look at the Poseidon plugin that it built here. All right, so we do have the metadata tracked for how it is set up. It will be very interesting to see how PTY works. Because, here, let me show you real quick. So this is a cool feature for Poseidon in here. Hold on. Let's change this. Is there an option I can change on this? I thought there was. Anyway. Let's go back over here. But over here in Poseidon, you can actually look around like a who am I? Okay, fine. Just some command. See it come back, right? All right, cool. So here's all of our goodies right here. But we can also run this PTY command. And this is going to bug the crap out of me. Hang on. Let's see. Task, view, split task. I know there's a way to set that as the default. I never remember what it is, though. So over here, we've got this, sudo TTY session in here. So if I want to run any command I can think of here from the terminal, it will essentially run it, right? So there's a uname. We can cat like etc host. So whatever you can think of in here, we can actually go through and do. So it'll be really interesting to see how it handles the PTY interaction in here. Run Vim. You cannot run interactive commands like that. Have you ever heard of tried Le Chat, the French version of ChatGPT, which I think is using Mistral? Chris, I have never even heard of that. That sounds pretty cool. Although, honestly, I don't use... The only one I use on a daily basis, Chris, like in a chat interface, is really Grok, because it's kind of become my default search engine. It's very good and very fast at finding things. So if I tell it, hey, go find me a reference to something like that, it will find a link for it real quick. It doesn't always return the link. Sometimes I have to yell at it. Like, no, just return me the damn link, not like a dissertation on it. But it actually does a pretty decent job at finding stuff. And there was an entire story on X about some adult actress who tried hard, but not hard enough to keep her real name and identity a secret. And Grok is so thorough at searching, it's like, oh yeah, here's her actual name and all of her information. So it just completely doxed her. Kovo, this is a safe space. If you got to, you can, man. This is kind of the same thing when Apple asked for backdoors, or when they were asked to provide crypto backdoors. Dude, I know, right? Oh god, I got it, Kovo. that This went way over my head. ChatGPT. That's why I stole a lesson from Primogen, who I think is just hilarious. And he's like calling it ChatGPT. Okay, so that's all committed now. Let's do... Oh wait, I need to check something else. Let me exit out of this. I need to actually go back into our test system here. And I think it's on our interaction testing. When was this last updated? Today. Okay. Let's go take a look at it. What did it come up with for config sample YAML? Let's see here. Hey, there we go. OS, Mac OS, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no. Let's see. Poseidon test. Callback host. Okay. I do need to go. I'm not gonna save that change real quick. We're gonna make it that. For the integration, can't type. Integration testing. We will not be testing Mac. Poseidon will be for Linux. We'll let it go upgrade that itself. Fun fact: here in Quebec, ChatGPT sounds like "Chat, I have farted." That's what Kovo over on YouTube was just saying. That's what he was just saying there, guy. ChatGPT. Too funny. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. So it changed all that to everything from Darwin to Linux. Okay, cool. So we got that. Let me see. Now I actually will need to... Let me diff these. Oh, no, this is going to be a huge diff because it's going to add everything in there. Well, that's all right. We'll just make Claudius do it. So... Let's see. Back up the current integration test config. Copy the specific testing information from it to a new copy of. Now, it's gonna screw up if I do that. Let's see. Make a new copy from the sample and copy the customized config settings from the backup to the active copy. There we go. We'll let it go through and handle some of the configuration setup for the integration test. Noipy! What is up, man? Happy Saturday, dude. Hold on, while this is doing this, I need to go test something real quick. Over on... Because I was tinkering with StreamerBot all afternoon. Let's see if this works real fast.
Saga Media cheered 43 bits and says, "This is a Twitch cheer trigger test."
Okay, cool. So that worked. It looked like it broadcasted just fine. Now, question is, did it actually timestamp it? So what I have now is anytime a TTS comes in or other certain events happen, I can tag them into a timeline so I could look at them later. Ah, sweet, it did. Okay, cool. Excellent. Got that working now. Okay, this is up and running. Let's move you back over here. I'm gonna move you right about here. Don't need you here. In fact, I'm gonna close you because I don't need you. There we go. Actually, probably what I should do is I should have it make... let's see. Create sample configs for each of the agents. So we'll have Apollo, sample integration. Apollo, Arachne, and Poseidon. So we can test each one individually. Because we know Apollo's already working. So what I wanted to do is, if we come down here and look, we have our config sample, but it tests like everything. So I don't want to have just the one omnibus in here, and then I have to do a lot of heavy lifting on customizing the test config here. What I want to do is have a config for like Apollo, Poseidon, Arachne, and then I can just copy those down, fill in a couple key pieces of information, then boom, be good with it. So what's new? No, we're adding the Poseidon plugin to Mythic right now. So that's what we've got going on right here. As I was thinking about it though, we can look in Mythic, right? Everything we've got listed here in services, technically, translator won't need one, but HTTP and web shell, we could also make custom interactions for these to go and build these C2 profiles in here. So that would be super handy. Get those profiles built out and then allow it to use those later. We'll do that a little bit later. Right now it's configuring it by hand, right? So when you come in here, let's say we generate a new payload, and then as we select all the various options in here, right? Over here, it's actually filling this in like by hand. It's coming through and saying, oh, this is the options I need for this payload configuration, and boom, it's doing it that way. We can make that a tiny bit more efficient where we have multiple C2 payloads. We can have to do it. Being Russian, have lots of words for when a government official is lying to you, and they know you know that they know they're lying to you and do it anyway. Yeah, I suppose of all the various languages, Russians would be extremely adept at having words for that. Okay, cool. Cool, so now that we've got these all here, excellent. So now, let me just do a long list here. Okay, cool. So copy, config. Which one I want to test? Poseidon. Copy that to config.yaml. There we go. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. Hold on, what was that command? API token? All right, rep API token from config YAML. Let me grab this real quick. Boop. That was not correct. Undo. Undo. You're not going to. All right, hold on. Turn the mouse off. There we go. Now I can just copy it directly. Now we'll foreground that. There we go. Okay, got that set up. Let's see. So here's the agent that we're going to be testing. Callback host. That should be good. Callback ID. So we need the testing callback ID. So for Poseidon, this one will be callback ID 43. And then that should be good right there. Let's exit out of that. Okay, awesome. Go ahead and commit that. Hey, Gromit, what's up, man? Happy Saturday. Dude, we're just having some fun working on the Mythic C2 MCP server for HackBot. By the way, as much as I have to admit, I like HackBot and I like everything I've learned from it. I really feel like we're going to have to go back and just abstract and scratch everything that's been done with HackBot and start from ground zero on a better agent system. Because everything I've built and designed in LangGraph is very, very primitive. So when I started HackBot, everything was still kind of evolving in the agent development workspace, and it has freaking exploded ever since then. So I'm thinking to go back to the drawing board and really work on like how to make it more efficient. And I hate that because I like it. But also, the biggest change since a lot of these AI coding agents that's come up is that now code is cheap. Code is very cheap now. It used to be hella expensive. So I think one of the big things that kind of throws people off is they get still emotionally invested in their code. And I think it is still a very good thing to go through and write code and understand it and learn what it's doing. Because there's a lot to be learned in just the process of it. But at the same time, it's going to hold you back so much now. It's just the way things are. Hey, Lethal, what's up, man? Just got done watching Y Combinator's agentic event. Everyone was creating an agent for whatever reason. So YC participants were paying out of their own pocket for the AI agent's tokens. I said, why not create an agent to help you save money when creating AI agents? Their response was dumbfounded. I agree, man. So one of the things that I did not fully get, I mean, I kind of understood it, but as I went through and I started thinking about it, something that will help you save a ton of money is using your cache. So prompt caching and key value pair caching is huge. So let me explain this to y'all, what's happening here, right? So we're talking to all of these systems over an API, right? It's not, whenever we're looking at the chat interface, it's just a pretty abstraction of API calls going back and forth. So let's break down kind of what's happening right here. So what we have is we have an agent here, and this is talking to an LLM API, right? Hey, Peaches. That's my puppy. She just came inside. Let's see. So all you're doing is you're just making API calls back and forth. This API is then sending it over to something, let's just call it like a GPU cluster right here. And in this cluster is where they're actually doing all the computation, right? So this is actually how you're interacting with this. So when it does this, you've got these layers of the AI model that it's actually passing through, right? So you're sending in whatever your input data is. It's doing a bunch of matrix multiplication, a lot of computation, and it's sending those activation weights all the way across it, layer by layer, all the way until finally you get whatever your final output is, right? Just like that. So with prompt caching, one of the things that you can do is you're taking this and let's say you're sending the same thing, like a constant evolution of a chat, right? So you have a message here, you have a message here, and you're just adding onto it. So one of the things you can do is you can actually go through and pre-compute and save this chunk of the message right here. And then as you come through and you add new messages, it does not have to recompute this entire thing. It adds this section combines it together, recomputes it, and then once it spits it out, this whole new output here is then going to become the new input. So you've already got a computed output here, and it's saving a ton of compute processing whenever you do this, because the compute process is the expensive part. So they're storing all this data in this cache, and as you add to it, then it comes through and it pulls it, and it basically is reusing work units as it goes through, and it's storing all that information. That's one of the reasons why the context window is so important to maintain, because as you're going through this, you can continually hit this caching value right here. So if you remember, cache is king, you're going to remember this. And it saves you a buttload of money because you've already paid for the computation for this. You're only having to do a tiny bit more computation as it hits this. So let's say, for example, though, if you come through and modify something kind of here in the middle, right? Well, then all of this information down here has to get recomputed. So it's going to go by the longest prefix match when it's coming through. So if you can avoid modifying things earlier in the context window, you can have this longer prefix match, and it actually does save you a ton of money. Yeah, cache is king. Boop. Which is funny because I actually had a guy come in and install a new dishwasher. The one I told y'all about that I got for Sock on freaking Valentine's Day. And he came in, and apparently there was a change in the electrical code. I've had this dishwasher for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And in the middle there was a change in the electrical code where they changed where the plug-in, the electrical outlet for the dishwasher has to be. So he's like, hey bro, normally I would have to say, we can't install this and leave you high and dry and then schedule an electrician to come out and do it. I am a licensed electrician. I'll do it for you right now for like $100. I'm like, my man, cash is king. So, long story short there, I got hooked up. Now I have a dishwasher. Hey, Bob, what's up, man? I was just talking about your wonderful background music earlier. In fact, one of them's playing right now. Okay, cool. Now this is running. Let's do, let's see, run integration test for Poseidon. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to say this. So I set up a config. Let's see. Integration test config for Poseidon. Let's run it. I got my wife a clothes washer for Christmas. So I did not actually mean to, Bob, to get her a dishwasher, which ours has been broken since October. I did not mean to get her a dishwasher for Valentine's Day. It just kind of happened. She came to me and said, hey, by the way, Costco's got a sale on this Bosch dishwasher. I'm like, all right, cool. I was looking for a Bosch anyway because they're supposed to be bulletproof. And then later in the day, I realized, oh God, I got her a dishwasher for Valentine's Day. But you know what? She was happy. She was happy. She was so sick of washing dishes by hand. Yeah, that's right, kiddo. Cash money. That would be a pretty funny... That actually should be a Cloudflare t-shirt. You know, because like I'd say probably 99% of my wardrobe is all IT swag shirts. I don't know. I haven't bought a t-shirt since Christmas when Sock got me, but she's really, you know, she's spending household money. So I didn't really get it. Sock got it for me. But she got me a bunch of new nerd shirts because she's like, all your shirts have freaking holes in them. And I'm like, well, the shirts are like 15, 20 years old. So yeah. And so she went and bought me a bunch of new ones. But that would be an awesome Cloudflare one. Cash is king. There we go. I just sent a message to them on X. Like, hey, I need a t-shirt that says this. On the opposite side, I have a dishwasher, but I still just wash the dishes by hand. So when the dishwasher died, Noipi, and it was really annoying because it was this one particular motor that is stupid hard to find, and it was so expensive, like from the Sears part catalog. It was almost the damn near the cost of a new dishwasher. It was freaking ridiculous. So that's the reason why I got the new dishwasher. But anyway, I was still using it because that became the new drying rack in the house. No, I didn't replace the dishwasher in that way, guy. I know what you're talking about. I know. I can hear your mind squirming through the gutter. No, I did not replace the dishwasher like that. This is the first time I've had to replace a dishwasher. I spent more on the washer than the other girls for her, so I mentally could discount the washer for my guilt. I have my washer and dryer are Speed Queen models. And because there's as much of a dumpster fire as Reddit is, there's still a couple of good subreddits on there. One of them being Buy It for Life. And there's tons of recommendations on buying things like appliances that last a long time. And Speed Queen is bulletproof. I've had that Speed Queen for probably going on, I think, 10 years now. And it still runs phenomenal. Speed Queen washer and dryer. There's no bells and whistles to it. And the reason why it's so good is because those are the ones that they make for like laundromats. Ones that are supposed to run like heavy duty hard cycles all the time, right? Practically day in, day out. So that's their background for producing these. And they've been running great. Now I just need to find some place where it's like, hey, what's the dishwasher equivalent to the Speed Queen? Oh, I should have cleared the context. Oh well. All right, cool. We'll let it go through and churn and troubleshoot this. Norby, I have a chest freezer, like a deep freeze, and it's been great. And in fact, once a year I go through, and it's a absolutely monstrous deep freeze. And so whenever things like briskets or ribs, they go on sale, I buy them and I deep freeze them. Now the downside is I forget they're there because they're buried in the deep freezer. So usually once a year I go through when it's super cold, like the one cold day a year that we get in Texas, and I pull everything out of the deep freezer and I de-ice it and I re-inventory what's in there. So I was looking at like this spread of food that we've got, and I was like, Sock, can we just not go to the grocery store for a while? And she's like, okay, the only thing I absolutely need every week from the grocery store is eggs, because we go through a lot of eggs in a week. And so, because we go through like a dozen a day between my two sons and my wife and myself. So I was like, okay, good. But like, I have like 8 racks of ribs. I have like 6 briskets. It's a huge deep freezer. And I was like, can we just chill on the buying meats? I'd get a deep freezer, but I might be dead. Guy, don't tempt me. I don't know if I necessarily want to make an AI inventory for my deep freezer. However, I did realize something. Wait, hang on. What's that?
Look at them.
Sock snuck into the boys' room and took a picture of them just to check on them because they were kind of rowdy at bedtime. And they're passed out and doing basically like, you know, like drunk poses they're just like, it's hilarious. Anyway, what I found out, these are not fantastic cards for this, but it'll be decent for a test, is I was able to acquire an old crypto mining rig that this guy had. So I got a crypto mining rig at the house, and it had two 1080 Ti cards in it. It's an old rig. And it has a bunch of PCI 1 lanes in it. I have 4 more 1080 Ti cards in this house, 2 in a server and 2 on a desk over there. I'm going to pull them all out. I'm going to put all 6 of them into that crypto mining rig and test out and see what kind of inference rates I get versus like just having one. Now, the biggest bottleneck is each of those cards only has a single PCI lane going to it. If that works well, then what I'll probably start doing is trying to acquire slowly over time, maybe some of the 4000 series cards that have like 12 gigs in them, something like that, and start maybe trying to stack those in there and slowly replace those 1080 Ti's over time, because then I actually could have a small AI cluster in the house. The hardest part was finding a wire outlet for it because it needs a 220. So that was a pain. Let's pop into Mythic real quick. Let's see what is going on here. What was this run? 9. Okay, so this was just now. So integration test should probably fail because it's not formatting the command properly right here. See that? That's okay. That's why we're letting it go through and churn on this. It's like, you built it, you break it. I just got a Mac Mini and they're pretty cheap and powerful. So the one good thing I've heard about if you're running an AI agent on a Mac Mini guy, and if you're using something like an automated web browser with it, is that nobody expects automated browsing from a Mac. So it looks like everything should be legit and good, right? On the other hand, my AI agent I've got running right now is running on an old Intel Nook that I had sitting aside. It had it had a really decent processor. It had like 32 gigs of RAM in it. So that's my remote connect into and like do work box. I should check into the V100 SXMS cards. Let me go look at them real quick. Let me go look at that. V100. Get tight. Oh, those are the old Tesla cards. Ooh. They're currently running $900 though. Now, granted though, that's $900 for a 32 gig card. So the stream makes about $1,000 a year. So if I just stream for 6 more years, I can swap each of those cards out. Got it. So with the SXM2, they're converting them into low-budget AI accelerators. It sounds pretty awesome. That actually is a pretty decent price, though, because some of the cards I was looking at, they're about $400, and you're getting 12 gigs. So if you look at it from a price efficiency point of view, then you're looking pretty good. Well, what was the other card you're talking about? So this was the V100 I was just looking at here. Let me bring this over here. This is the one I was just looking at. Is this one, the 32 gig one. So you're talking about look at the 16 gig one? All right, let's go look at the 16 gig one. They'll need to spend more money than that just to adopt it? Yeah, maybe. Especially considering the... So for anybody who doesn't know, because I was learning about this after I acquired this rig, Oh, go to like eBay or Ali? Okay. All right, let's go to eBay. A lot of those crypto mining rigs, the motherboards are not very robust because what they're doing. Ooh, nice. Oh, let me look up the 16 gig model. They're not very robust because just because of the way the nature of like how the mining actually worked in there. So server accelerator GPU. Hold on, let me look for that. SMX2. Oh, you're talking about this one right here. All right, let me take a look at this. What do we got here? Volta GPU accelerator. So this is just the card by itself. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can find the 16 gig version. I mean, here's a V100 with 16 gigs for 270. Yeah, that's not bad. So let me go check out AliExpress. Spelled that. Oh well. So let's take that out and let's just look for this. Oh, here we go. Dude. Yeah, you're not wrong. 160 bucks. I mean, now this is just the board. How are they making this work? Hang on a second. Let me go check on what the agent's doing real quick here. Okay. Code's fixed and working. Phase 1 through 3 and 6 cleanup all passed. The callback verification timeout is an infrastructure issue. Poseidon payload was deployed, but didn't call back within 120 seconds. Let's see. Let me go double check the configuration for this real quick. That was the wrong button. Oh, it's because, yeah, I gotta go change the config. Hang on one second. Let me go update this real quick. Where's the next one here? That should be HTTP. Yeah, there we go. Take that out. Pin. So it's trying to get it working. Let's see. Run the integration test again. Integration test again. There we go. I can spell. So they're converting those V100s into PCI cards. Oh, are they now? Let's see. I'm gonna dox myself. Y'all gonna see all the weird stuff I watch on YouTube. If you've never seen No Panic Button, he's freaking hilarious. Okay, V100 to PCIe card. Hold on. So what was it? What was the actual name of it? This was GPU Accelerator. Let me look for that real quick. All right. Convert V100 GPU Accelerator to PCI card. These are all old videos, though. Oh wait, here we go. Here, hang on one second. Why did that work? There we go. Here, let me see if this will play real quick. Let's take a look at what he's doing here.
Before we start, here's a timestamp if you just want to skip to the build section of the video, except before then I'm really going to go over some of the pitfalls of this setup and kind of who I am. I'm just a guy that makes YouTube videos. I have my main YouTube channel, and this is my second channel where I do a lot of setup and background stuff for that particular channel. I also do just some regular hobby stuff to do with computers and home labbing. And one of the big projects I'm also kind of working on in the background is moving myself away from all of those moving away from all of the data mining and data scraping, all that sort of stuff. Now, when it comes to AI and LLMs, particularly for this use case, I'm not going to use it for actually writing code. I usually use it for learning, so then I can search for better resources, because SEO sucks at the moment. I feel it's almost deliberate, so then you have to use those AI responses. I also...
It's kind of wild. Give me 1 second. Let me check in on the agent real quick. All right, it's running. Let me see what he's doing with these.
Know that all of these GPTs are unethical, basically. There's probably no LLM that doesn't have a root of using some people's stuff without their proper
What we were just talking about earlier. Exactly that.
Consent. However, I'm a bit of a nihilist in that regard, and I really do think that this Pandora box is open. It's already done, which is kind of shitty to think of it that way, but also... that's not going to stop the greedy, unethical people from using it, so why should they be the only ones to benefit from this? And one final last thing is I like to reuse a lot of old hardware, as per this computer is all used.
That's the one I agree with. And Kobo, yeah, the SEO is kind of jacked up on YouTube right now. And by kinda, I mean very. And yes, there's no reason for hardware to age out every 3 years. I've got a MacBook from 2012 that is now my Rode laptop. I use it just to come remote into my Nook at home. I tether it. It's just an SSH connection. It's working fantastic. There's no reason for these things to be aged out and every 3 years just become e-waste.
Use stuff, except for I think the case and the power supply, but they're still very old, and I'm running it on solar, and I'll only be running it during the daytime hours. But
okay, that's pretty cool. Running it on solar power.
Then again, a whole third of my solar supply is probably going to go into this. And the reason why I want to use my solar so much is because the government here in South Australia really sucks. We get almost nothing from putting power back into the grid now, and they limit it to a total of 5 kilowatts per day put back into the grid.
And see, I have a massive solar array on my roof. My roof just happened to be positioned very well for something like that. I'd be getting absolutely screwed if I was in Australia. Although, as it sits right now in Texas, the payback or the buyback that you're getting for that electricity is really freaking bad. Anyway, hold on. Let me check in on our agent real quick. Let me see. Let me fix this. Here we go. All right, so it's still working through it. Good. Do it.
So it's just going to be wasted anyway. In late November, I saw these SXM2 cards for the V100 for very, very cheap. So I went ahead and lowballed them even lower, thinking, I mean, I don't really think that these are the right cards for me, but they kind of tick the boxes, and they accepted. $118 each, which is pretty good price.
Here, I'll drop a link to this video if anybody wants to take a look at it.
But they have been going up in price because they're 16 gigabytes still. People want this. Now, this isn't actually all my money. Most of this is actually coming from a friend who kind of wanted to get into this sort of stuff. And he tasked me
44, what's
with
up, dude?
setting it all up and doing a lot of purchasing and a lot of researching. And I was like, hell yeah. I want to learn something new and have some fun doing some computer stuff. And if it's not on my dime...
That's my MO.
Sure. And as a result...
doing fun stuff with computers.
I kind of bought 4 of them. Though I also do have to host it, which will be a whole different thing entirely. Now, there is a lot of discourse around these SXM2 cards, but I'm going to be honest, a lot of the people that are commenting on, oh, that doesn't work, they're no good, you don't want them, are people that don't actually have experience with them, they're just regurgitating opinions from other people or guesses from other people as
I know, Grump. It's like, yeah, so this sounded cool, so I bought 4. Let me see how people are actually doing these real quick. I want to see if... So this is fairly recent. This was about a year ago. I wanted to see if anybody's got examples of what they're doing. So these guys are saying they're running about 90 to 120 bucks for the adapters. What are the... I wonder what these adapters actually look like, though. So it just looks like this right here. So pretty straightforward. Yeah, there's the connectors right there. So you find the adapter board, you make it into PCIe, you're golden. Okay. Cool. So it's back a little bit like what we were talking about for, well, I mean, we were talking about a long time ago, but back when computers actually had like daughter boards you would put onto the main board. Solar powered tanks sounds like the worst warfighting vehicle ever, Chris. Because it just, not because of that we can't generate a ton of solar power, it's that we don't have an efficient means to store it and then resupply it. That's the hard part about it. All right, hold on. I want to see where he actually goes with this. Sounds like PCBWay sponsored project. Dude, I hadn't thought about PCBWay in forever too, Bob. So this video shows a breakdown of all the prices and the boards in the video if you scroll forward. That's what I'm kind of looking at here. Let's see. Missing footage. Let's see. So let me see what... Okay, so here's what he's got. So there's that actual... the SXM2 board. And I'm guessing this is the mounting board here, and he's got a cooler here.
of reference on whether this cooler would fit, because I just didn't assume that would be a problem. But we're not in Kansas anymore, so I probably wouldn't have found the...
Bro, you're in South Australia. You never
There
were
are
in
ones
Kansas.
that do remote setup where you can have multiple cards do a thing, but those prices end up becoming a lot more expensive. You're also going to want 2 power headers. It is a full 16X card that we have here. Though, you know what? I haven't actually verified that all 16X lanes are wired up. I mean,
For my use case, it wouldn't matter so much if those were 16 lanes, because in the old mining rig that I got, it only has the risers that it's got. So here's what it looks like. Right, let me clear this out. So in this old mining rig that I acquired, what you have is you actually have the motherboard sitting right about like here, and then you have these ultra tiny like PCI 1 connectors right here. And then we're actually taking a connector and, oh, let's do it like this. We're taking a connector and we're plugging it in here, and it's got a cable that then comes up to a full like PCI 16 connector here. And this is where the card is going to sit up here. So these are actually sitting on a second rack that's above the card. They're not mounted directly on the card. So if it's running PCI 16, it doesn't really matter because I'm going to artificially reduce it down to a PCI 1. Yeah, let me see. I want to see where he does his... Let's see. Where is the price breakdown? Because even if this comes out to like $400 to do that, some of the cards I was looking at already come to that, and they don't even have 16 gigs on them. So according to little Gemini over here, does this additional components. So motherboard with at least 4 to 8 PCIe slots costs a couple $100. Hold on, let me see.
a minimum. And I just find that it's...
Here we go. So here's his price breakdown. So for adapters, it was roughly $50 US for that adapter card we were just looking at. For risers, about $7. And that's what I have, is those risers in there. It came with everything. Heat sinks, only about $15. And he paid $118 for this. So far he's rocking For the adapter, that's $50, $65, $72. Thermal compound, that's negligible. We're going to ignore that. Pads, we'll kind of say that's $10 right there. So he's talking 80. So he's rocking these things for about $200 as he's compiled them together. I don't know any other system where you're going to get that amount of VRAM through there. Now the question is also, what is for the V100s? Those were not slouchy cards. I believe they're roughly half of a 4090. Okay, so they're about equivalent to a 4070. Okay. Dude, you're going to send me down a whole new rabbit hole. I just want to say thanks. I hate it. All right, I'm going to save those two. Oh, man. Man, now I got to go look at that. Yeah, thanks, Grom. I hate it. All right, let's go check in and see what Claudicus is doing here. Only failure is the callback verification, so the deployed Poseidon payload isn't calling back within 120 seconds. All right, let me go look into Mythic and see what it's doing here. I bet I know what it did. Okay, so it did Shemata it. It ran it with a no-hup in here. But then it deletes it. Let's go do this by hand. Actually, hold on. So here's the payload that it actually generated. Let's go look at the metadata for it. So if we come over here, we go to view payload configuration. We can see everything that was used for as part of like configuration values for this. So this should have been calling back to 10.5.10.10 on port 80. I mean, it looked like it was going well. So one of the cool things we can actually do here is right here, this upload command. Ah, come on, not like that. No, damn it, I closed it. I'm an idiot. Let me bring that back up. You're gonna make me log out again, aren't you? Why you do this? Ah, what was it? Password 1234. There we go. Super secure. So one of the cool things we can do actually is we can actually come back over here to where it did the file upload, and we can just tell it to re-upload it. Then we can go look at it on disk up here. So now this should be in temp. What was the command? Yeah, temp. So let's go look on Debian 1 real quick. CD to temp. There's test payload. And so it did do a chmod plus X test payload. And then when it ran this, it ran it as a no-hup. No-hup and this. Okay. I mean, which is not a bad thing to do. I'm just going to run it directly, though. Let's give this a second to see if it calls back. It called back just fine. I think the way it was running it for some reason was killing it. Something in its test execution, because all the configuration settings looked correctly. Let me try doing... Hold on, what was the actual command that it sent? It sent no-hup. No-hup. So let me go do a no-hup on it. So that one says it's running. And we got a callback. It called back just fine. Let's see, exit callback. Oh wait, we already exited that one. Let me hide that callback. Yeah, it came back just fine. So why is this command? Oh, because it's saying that it came back correctly. Okay. That's what's happening here. Let me get it. So it's registering that it went through okay because it's showing green, but actually we're getting this exit code copy. So we need to go redirect our agent. Let's see. Shell commands are not. formatted properly. What task number was that? Let's see. Task 375. There we go. We'll get this going. So now I gotta go see how much the 32 gig ones are. Dude, Grom, those 32 gig ones are currently selling for $141. Oh no, I take it back. That is a 16 gig one. I take that back. Because they have a 32 and 16 gig and the 32s are sold out. That's wild. And a 4070 is not a slouchy card. That's crazy. All right, I'll have to go check that out a little later. After this is done, I actually want to do another test with the Mythic MCP to have it go through and... Was this one we ran nothing in? Yeah, let me exit this callback. Let's exit that and hide it. There we go. And then let's watch 43 down here. Ah, nope, that ain't correct. I closed it. Maybe log out and log back in. Oh, shit. Oh, it's on a long sleep cycle, too. Okay. Let me kill that one. Great. Because I need it to run faster. So 46 came back, though. Oh, okay. Oh, that was fine, though. It ran. Cool. It did it. I stopped it. Ah, damn it. All right, I should just let it run. Let's see. Let me hide this callback here. All right, let's let it go again. Let's see. That worked and did callback. Run the integration test agent this time. Let's see. Be sure there is a sleep 0 command when the the new callback comes in. There we go. The price really jumped because the retailers have caught up to it. Yeah, I bet. They're like, hey, all of a sudden people want these. You willing to pay a little bit more? Yeah. Going back to the earlier topic about like what could potentially happen to the economy with the massive AI, all the things, is I don't really see a lot of ways forward through that without something like universal basic income, which is basically socialism, which has never worked ever. And I don't want to hear the argument that, oh, we've never tried real socialism before. Yeah, well, we tried it and it's killed millions of people. So, yeah, that's not going to be a great way forward. However, I do think the other way forward is going to be some kind of like neo-feudalism that's going to happen, where essentially countries are going to become giant fiefdoms, and then some large producer is going to own like huge chunks of everything, and people are going to become like vassals again. That's another scary thought. All right, let's let this run. Techno-feudalism, cipherdom. Let's go. Oh, that sounds like the making of Cyberpunk 2177. Although I do think that's funny, because if you think about it, 2077 is only about, 50 years in the future. Right? I don't think there's going to be that much changing of that. That's not a bad price, too, Bob. Oh, let's see here. Okay, cool. Let's go check in Mythic. Hey, 47 called back, so that is good. Let me hide this callback. Let's see what it's doing over here. Has it done anything yet? It has not. Unfortunately, too, Bob, I am in the midst of paying for a new roof on my house. And, hey, by the way, for anybody else who happens to have insurance, let me tell you about one of the new, recent, very expensive lessons I am relearning about why I hate insurance so much. There's two different kinds that you're going to probably have to deal with. Especially, like, from this case, I'm having to replace my roof. There is something called the ACV versus the RCV. So what is this? This is the actual cash value. My roof on this house is 16 years old and has been beat to shit by hail. So my actual cash value is very low. RCV, however, is the actual replacement cash value. So this is them paying what the roof is worth. This is them paying how much it would cost to replace the roof. I don't have that. I have this. This does not spark joy. So you take this, which is a crappy price because your roof has probably been beat to hell, and then you subtract your deductible. And what you're left with is itty bitty money. Right there. But itty bitty money is way less than the actual cost of the roof. So, all that, that's me. This does not spark joy. Yeah, this is cash, not cash. Killer. So, yeah, this is the actual value of whatever your roof is at its current point in time. This is the value to replace your roof. So, yeah. That does not spark joy. Having to deal with that shit now. Okay, it spawned the new callback, but it's not doing anything. What happened? Why does it keep saying that it's timing out? Hey, Vig, thanks for coming online. And thank you for testing the new sound I put on. Did y'all hear that? Please tell me y'all heard that. Okay, cool. That was one thing I did. I was working on until like 3 in the morning last night, overhauling a bunch of the alert sounds because I migrated them.
Can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
That one is still running through Twitch. I expect that one to work. However, a bunch of the new sounds in there. That's right, that 2400 baud. Ooh, it's sexy sounded. Sound of my youth. Well, the new roof we're putting on now, Killa, is it's going to be like a hail resistant roof because that's what we're kind of getting in here. So what I'll be able to do afterwards is switch over to that RCV value. But my God, it's so much fucking money. It's a beatdown. Okay. Oh, there was a hostname mismatch. Okay. Runs the test again. Do it. I should put a roof over the roof to protect the roof from the hail. If only we had just like little force fields, like from Star Trek, right? Little personal force field I could just put on my roof. That would be fantastic. We had a microburst come through and it took away 4 shingles, but it didn't deal much with hail. But it cost, you said $500 to replace those 4 shingles? Damn. Ugh. Yeah, thought RAM was pricey. No joke, dude. I need to go pull out the information I was collecting to think about basically why what we're looking at can't come to fruition, more or less. Because you can't really have that kind of collapse of the economy. Now, there was another article, I think we covered it on stream, from a guy named Jason, who is the head of the red team over at TrustedSec. And he was talking about this. There's a lot of opining about what's coming down the pipe for the economy, for people, because ultimately people make up the economy, right? With a lot of the new AI adoption. And just how many people don't even realize what's happening and what's coming with it. You guys do, because we talk about it on stream, and you guys are all into this, and you're researching it yourselves, and you're looking at it. However, if we ever did get to that point where, hey, we've got robots that can handle everything, and people really do live in a post-scarcity society like in Star Trek, it's still going to cause problems for people because a lot of people tie their self-worth, their purpose in life, to their employment. And so if their employment is gone, that kind of goes away. What now? We got the new callback. It came back just fine. It's a big lot of nothing, most likely. I think so, too. I'll make me a big metal box to hide in until it blows over. Dude, all I want is a farm with some cows. And I don't even want to sell the cows. I just want to take care of the cows. And then be able to take care of them, raise them, let them have a happy life, and then have steaks on demand for me and my family. That's all I want. I just want a little farm with some cows. My wife wants a donkey. I warn people all the time that, because I have chickens and my wife makes sourdough bread. And that is where I've capped it. Mostly because we're out of room in the house. And I was like, and in our backyard. And I tell them, it's like, if you get into sourdough, that is a gateway hobby. Same thing with chickens. Yeah, goats are pretty cool too. But I warned them, it's like, hey, you start doing this, it's a gateway hobby. because then all of a sudden you're like, well, the chickens need protecting, so now I'm going to get some geese. And the geese are going to need somebody to look after them, so I'm going to get a goat. And then I don't want the goat to be lonely, so now I need 2 goats. I mean, heck, I would just like to have a goat, Killa, or Chris, just so I don't have to cut the lawn. I just go tie the goat up out there. It's like, here you go. Go chew my lawn down. So I was listening to Ray Dalio's Changing World Order. He stated that empires usually last about 250 years. Coincidence that we're coming up on America's 250th birthday. Yeah, I know, right? Although I've heard a lot of people say that one, Killa, and that is a kind of wild statistic when you think about it. I live in Wisconsin, so I see cows and goats all the time. I live in Texas, and so I see mostly cows, but not where I am because I'm in Dallas city limits. So I see them like when we go out to the ATV races. We're driving through the countryside because they all take place way south Texas. They're usually about 4-hour drive from here, and so I see them all the time go by and like, I want cows. So you should look into the Euro route for the roof. No hail problem. It's a composite material. Take a look at that. Interesting. What's it a composite of? Let's see. Classic Danish roof tile size. Let's see. Designed for Scandinavia's harsh climate, roof tiles are produced in our warehouse, mixed with a mixture of clay and shale, fired up to 1,000 degrees Celsius. Damn. The only thing that might, if I was to ever try to get this, that might cause an issue, Grom, is mounting the solar panels on the roof. That is the one good thing that the insurance company is covering, is remounting the solar panels. I have 42 solar panels on the roof, and it's $400 per panel to remove and remount them. So $200 each way. And thankfully, insurance is covering that because, what is that, like $19,000? $16,800. So thankfully, at least insurance is covering that part. There's a farm by me that grows heirloom grain and grinds it for you. Oh, that's awesome, dude. I mean, part of the reason why Socks started making bread was because we noticed that that when we had, at first I thought it was just bread. Like I thought gluten was messing with me or something. No, when we had bread that was outside of the U.S. where they don't use glyphosate, my joints didn't hurt. I noticed that. So she was able to find flour that's not treated with glyphosates, and then when she makes bread with that, I could eat that and it doesn't bother me. Now I don't usually eat a lot of bread anyway, but when I want to go make a sandwich, at least I don't have to worry about like my hands hurting later. Scroll down and look at the hotel video. Let me go take a look at it. Oh, I think I closed it. Oh, wow. Look at that. Man, I miss architecture like this. Everything is like this brutalistic, purely functional, no aesthetic now. This is awesome. I know this is probably a very old building, right? It's probably well in excess of 100 years old if I had to guess, just because that's how a lot of the buildings are across the pond from the US. But I love the style. It looks so cool. That's really awesome though. Be slippery as shit trying to climb up there. that. It looks really cool. Maybe if I ever get to build a new house, that's what I'll put on it. Because actually, I have a section of land to use for potentially building a new house. That's going to take a long time. All right, so what is it doing here? So we're getting callbacks in here. Error creating task. What's happening here? Bad type or value. Okay. So it's actually doing tests. It's making its way downtown. It's walking fast. Do a Viking house? That does sound cool. Everybody hasn't seen those. Is this the one, like something like this, what you're talking about, Chris? Something like the Viking style with the like the thatched roof? Or are you talking about more like the ones that are kind of like they're built into like the hillside, like the Hobbit houses? Look at this one. That's so cool. No, honestly, if I get to ever get to the point where I can go build a new house, it would probably be something like a barn dominium. I don't know if you guys have seen these. Barn dominium. Like this. Where essentially it's a metal structured building. And let's see if I can open it up here. So a lot of times, like in this case, it's a workshop, right? A shop with a little like lobby area over here. But there's lots of different ways that you can look at those. Let's see. This is not a good one. Something like this. So this is pretty typical of it. You have like a workshop area. It's all under one roof. And then you've got like a living area right here. So I see a lot of these in Texas now. In fact, there's an entire YouTube channel where they just talk about like how they build these things out. Hey, Jay, what's up, man? Great Hall looks like a vibe. I know, right? I like this. The main thing I'm looking forward to is like if I was able to build something like this, probably above here, because this is 2-story, right? So I don't need that full vertical space in the workshop. So I was actually planning, if I ever got to do this, I would actually put a workroom, like a computer workroom and studio up here for doing live streaming. Because right now I've got the green screen behind me, but I would actually prefer if I didn't need the green screen or if I could do something different with it. So having like a proper studio space up there, I think that'd be pretty sick. Now this is like, I think just for part of it. This is not the all-in price right here, Jay. No, because you still have to like pour the foundation. You still got to do all the plumbing, all the electrical, everything like that. So no, you're coming out. It's still going to be probably closer to like 200K. Yeah, once you go like all in, and then also all the furnishing on the inside, all the finishing in there. A lot of times this is just for like the shell, like just getting the outside structure built up and the internal plumbing like hookups, not even actually setting up the internal plumbing. All right, let's see what our agent's doing. Oh, why are you waiting for me? Just do it. Okay, so it's troubleshooting where the configs came through. And this is why the integration test was such an important thing we built 2 weekends ago. So I didn't stream last weekend. We had a race, and then Sunday I was just absolutely wiped out. I felt bad for missing Sunday, but I was just cooked. I was cooked mentally and physically. Like I was sunburned too from just being out there. My mom did her full house in Portugal for 100K all in. Damn. I wish, man. No, I think that's one of the things that's probably about to go kaplop is a lot of the housing market. Because, which works directly against me, but I was like, hey, actually, that's probably a great thing for other people who cannot get into homes, right? And that's another weird thing to think about. Like, hey, what if the AI come take over everything? You're just going to have a crap ton of empty houses because people are getting laid off. They can't buy houses. They can't afford to buy houses. They can't afford to pay the mortgage on houses because mortgages last for 30 years, right? So there's all this like cascading failure that if you were to take all this to its logical extreme, it just can't happen, right? I would be willing to bet that as the first rumblings started happening, politicians are going to put a kibosh on it because they're not going to get voted in if they try to accelerate that process, right? I think, what is this? Are we in like the 17th iteration of 6 months until all software developers are going to be replaced? Isn't that where we're at right now? It's going to join the Cold Fusion Club, right? We're just 5 years away from Cold Fusion. Oh, Chris, I just saw your message. Being built into a hillside would be the most efficient. It's hard to do that here in Texas, though, because Texas has very sandy, shifty soil, right? You have to be very clear on like how you build your foundation in Texas. Otherwise, you're almost guaranteed to have foundation issues. In Texas, you have to actually water the foundation so that way the soil doesn't contract too much and start causing you foundation trouble. So, Kova, I think what's going to happen... So, I graduated 2 years ago with a CS degree and still can't get a job. So, one little light at the end of that tunnel, Kobo, is they cannot get rid of people at entry level. They cannot. So SAP had their big thing with Agent Force. They said, like 3 months later, they're like, yeah, we messed up. We're backing off of that. IBM just did a big push hiring like 3,000 new entry-level developers. So there is some light at that tunnel. What the problem is, I don't think they've realized, is that they're completely destroying their work pipeline, right? So kind of, and this is me completely looking at it from the outside. I'm not a developer. I work as in offensive security as a penetration tester. So, but let's think about what happens here, right? It's just like any other funnel that you've got. And up here, you've got all of your entry-level positions, right? And then not everybody from there makes it to like a mid-level. And then not everybody from there makes it to something like a senior position. And this is just for developers, right? And then maybe a very select few, actually, let's kind of bring it in like this, right? Maybe even go into, oh, actually that picture looks bad. Hold on, I gotta, no, not like that. It's like let me get rid of this. Control Z. Oops. Oh man. I'm glad I didn't do it in a different color like red or something. Damn. My brain just went off the rails there. Here, hold on. There we go. We'll do it like that. Okay. So, let's say like the funnel from here, back to my original thought, really narrows down, right? And let's say this is people who are actually doing like software architecture, right? I think what's going to happen is these, unfortunately, a lot of the mid and entry levels are going to get cut. But then what happens? Eventually, there's actually like a hole that happens here in the funnel, right? Where some of these people just leak out. They leave development altogether. Some of them become architecture people. I think this is going to be the primary role in the future, is being a software architect. And unfortunately, people who are actually writing code are going to become either super highly specialized or just become non-existent. I think that's what's going to happen here. I think generically it's going to disappear and we're going to have this happen. So software architects, ones who can actually design like the actual systems and how they need to be built and guide that AI system, what's going to happen. I don't know if we're ever going to get to the point where I can say, hey, go make my own copy of Citrix. Make no mistakes. And it's just going to, boom, make a clone of Citrix that's going to come through with it. Because there's so many design decisions, and it ultimately has to work for a human. Now, if you want to take that in an even weirder position, right? This is all building software more or less for people. Right? So what happens when you take the people out of this? Then all of a sudden you're building software for bots. And it just becomes bots all the way down. You have bots producing, right? And then you have bots consuming. And then you have bots building. And then you have bots consuming. And it's just turtles. It just becomes bots all the way down. Hold on, Chris, who was messing with NIST and the Army Corps of Engineers? Are you talking about like the when we were talking about like the employment funnel here? I think what they're actually, Killa, I do think they're expecting it to be like one-shot engineers, but then also you have the big issue of what runs everything. The consumer. Even in like feudal times, you still had a consumer. The consumer was the vassals of whatever the lord or baron was. If you don't have somebody to make something for, nobody's going to make anything. Oh, setting up the rules? Gotcha. What kind of number? Oh, let's check in on what the H is doing here. Okay. Maximum amount of computations is 6 times 10 to the 33 per second per joule. I don't remember the exact value, but I remember hearing someone actually go through and calculate that based on information theory, like how much you could actually generate. What's the theoretical universal maximum for computation? Also, welcome in, Throbbing. Happy Saturday. I think time will become the new currency. Yeah, unfortunately, what was that movie with the Backstreet Boy where they had a little time thing on their arms? I don't know how I don't think you'll ever be able to like make it like that. It was an interesting thought experiment. Okay, let me check something real quick here. Let me go look at the config here. Let's see, processing and jobs, get env. Let's see. Ah, no, I didn't mean to background that. Let's see. Let's see. Make sure any changes for correcting and testing made in config YAML backport are, let's say copied. Copy to the example. Okay. Let's make sure we capture those. About Time. Yeah, that was the movie. I actually have not seen that. I need to go watch it. Or In Time. In Time, yeah. I think I've got it on my to watch list, but I actually haven't seen it. Hold on. So you're looking at the value 10 times 3 to the 30, 6 times 10 to the 33 per second per joule. But I don't know kilo to joules. You just divide that number by 1,000, and that'll convert joules to kilojoules. So in this case, you're just going to shift that decimal place over 3 places. So instead of being 10 to the 33, it's going to just be 10 to the 30. Wait, did I do that right? Yeah, it should be right. Okay, sample config now matches what's in there. Great. Let's see. How many commands do we have supported for the Poseidon plugin? Let me make sure I get this. How many are covered in integration testing? I want to make sure, because obviously some of them we're not going to be able to cover because they're Mac OS specific commands, but we've got those commands kind of namespaced or suffixed in there. So, but I want to make sure that at least all the Linux commands we've got running there. If I remember right, I don't think Poseidon, I'm pretty sure Poseidon does not run on that. I'm gonna go with Dezu. Dezu, thanks for coming online. Dezu? Yeah, okay, so I had to double check. I wanted to make sure, because Poseidon is for Linux and Mac. So cool, we've got that running now. 27% coverage. That's rookie numbers. We need to bump those numbers up. Advanced features like SSH, SOCKS, Port4, and PTY, and the commands requiring elevated privileges or specific infrastructure. Key logging, libinject, persist, sudo. Let's see. Ignoring the Mac OS commands, what can we do to test the others? Because I want to make sure that I haven't used Poseidon a ton anyway, even though it's a handy little agent. Very, very cool. I'm not familiar with the Shadow Fleet, Chris. What is that? Okay. Okay, I was wondering what it was going to do for PTY. I think actually probably we should tell it to skip PTY. Keylog needs active keyboard input, long running. Okay. Exit, which destroys the callback, breaks test. Okay. Don't care about exit. That one's probably fine. Don't care about... I wanted to try and do keylog. How could I simulate that? Oh, let's take a look at the rest of the commands here. So, easy to add. We could add those. Possible, but needs care. Kill, job kill, port scan. Update C2 for changing the C2 config. That one I don't necessarily want to go test out here. Okay. Let's tell it implement the easies. Let's see. Because I do want to have those for the integration tests, and then we could link a web shell through there. We could also link a TCP. Yeah, I have to think about that one. How do I do it? Because what these two commands right here are talking about is whenever you're doing pivoting in here. So, for example, let's clear this out of here. So let's say like we're pivoting through a network, right? So we have our C2 server right here, and then we've got whatever our victim machine is, and we've got a bidirectional communication happening here. But let's say we've got some kind of a firewall happening in the middle here. So we can't talk to the other systems directly for whatever reason, and we need to be able to pivot to, let's say, victim number 2 here. So we'll get that victim 1, and then we'll make also victim 3 right here. So if we find some kind of an exploit where we can run like a TCP or a web shell on here, right? Yeah, web shell. We could tell it, hey, we're going to link these two. So we're going to actually have the C2 connection. Oh, let me do this a different color. We're going to have the C2 connection kind of ride like this. And it's going to basically form like a tunnel, like a VPN tunnel here, where this guy is actually facilitating the tunnel here. So this would be our linking that's going to happen. And then ultimately what it would look like is we'd have a connection here, we'd have a connection here, but it would kind of form like this VPN type connection here. And the same thing could happen down here. We could also do it this way. So this is for whenever you're doing pivoting in there, which we will need. I got to think how to do that though. Hey Wizman, happy Sunday, man. It's Saturday. It's not Sunday yet. By the way, I hate to break everyone's hearts, but if you are here in the US and not in Arizona, maybe not in Hawaii, I think they don't do it either. Daylight savings time is coming up quickly. I tell you what, before we do this, let's go ahead and commit what we've got. Oh, so it's a rogue fleet that's selling past the sanctions on Russia is basically paying for the war on Russia. Oh. Yeah, with everything that happened with Iran yesterday, I don't know how that's going to go, man. That's what I literally woke up to a text message from a buddy of mine who was in former military intel. And so he keeps abreast of things. He's not sharing anything critical with me, but like whenever stuff like that goes down, he's like, yeah, hey man, check this out. I'm like, man, can we just go 5 minutes without a war, please? Okay. Add the 15 easy ones. That's how this happened. So what, India seized one of their oil transports, Chris? What's the new moat for businesses when knowledge is commoditized and AI agents can build anything? That's a very good question, Bobby. Also, hey man, I hadn't seen you pop up in the chat yet. Hope you're having a great Saturday. That's a very, very good question, Bobby. So a lot of times, like, I'm not building stuff for public consumption. This MCP server will be one of them. I've got another MCP server I'm working on that I think I'll release. But honestly, those were for internal projects. I'm going to probably just release them publicly just for like, hey, here you go. Don't expect a ton of support for it. But I did do this. Help yourselves. See. All right, cool. It's adding the additional integration test. Let's snooze those. All right, it is about time to wrap up the stream, unfortunately. Let me check something here real quick. See if anybody's over on good old InfoSec streams. Nope, sure enough, we're the only ones. By the way, if you guys like, I don't do a ton of like the purely offensive cybersecurity stuff, but if that's kind of what you like, you want to see other streamers doing it, go look at infosecstreams.com, because especially during the daytime, there's usually lots of folks on here. They're doing all sorts of security stuff, ranging from hardware to software to penetration testing. I think there's even a GRC person that was streaming on here. This time of the day, though, we're usually the only ones on. Oh, hey, Dobby, thanks for coming online, man. So, unfortunately, nobody over on InfoSec streams right now. I mean, it is really cool, though, to see this come through and, like, you see the agents spawning and it working on them. That is awesome. Like I said, the whole reason for this was we're building this out for our little CTF agent for HackBot, which unfortunately has aged out already because everything is moving so fast in how it's running. Let me resolve these real quick. Resolve. What's this one doing? Oh, cool. It's spamming out messages. Nice. What is this you're trying to do here? Run a head command? Come on. That's too funny. Oh, Barndos. I would like to have a Barndo. Alright, we'll see who is online that we might be able to go raid out to. By the way, over on the Twitch side of the house, if you have a raid suggestion, feel free to shout them out. Coppinger's on. I might go raid over to him. What's he doing, though? I checked on him earlier today. He was sleeping. Right now, it looks like he stepped away. It is cool to see more people. I mean, I like watching people make video games, but it's cool to see more people doing software to the software to game dev ratio improving. Who's all right now? Super interesting. Who's over in science and tech right now? Get my science bros. Some love. I haven't seen Arduino on in a while. I hope he's doing all right. No, nobody doing much in there right now. There's a fella building a PC. That's about it. It could just be I just didn't see Bobby. No, I don't think... I'm pretty sure you're not shadow banned on Twitch. Oh, we're getting all sorts of feedback from here. Litmus test for measuring real intelligence. The BS benchmark. All right. Let me look at this real quick and then we'll wrap up. You talked me into it. We snooze the ads real fast. So the bullshit bench measures whether models detect nonsense, call it out clearly, and avoid confidently continuing with invalid assumptions. Ooh. Okay. Clear pushback. Nice. Okay, I have to know where Grok falls into this. Did they test Grok? Because I've gotten Grok. Okay, they tested 4.1 fast, and it was just... Yeah, Grok can get really wild sometimes. And so I'm always curious to see, because it's interesting and it is super fast. But it also gets kind of weird. Let's see. I mean, Claude is like crushing it on here. Let's see. Funny enough, For at least for the 4.5 version, Haiku was actually performing better than Sonnet. That's kind of funny. Opus 4.5 with high reasoning actually did better than 4.6. See that? I mean, it did slightly better. 4.6 is actually doing a decent job. I've not tried Sonnet 4.6 yet. How have models improved? Yeah, 4.1 is kind of, yeah. And then, bam, they went way up there. GPT's just kind of been like, yay. And Gemini not really doing a ton. That's a pretty cool benchmark. I like it. Stars. I love this little graph here. That is pretty cool. Let me see if I can go. Okay. Jamie's live? Let me go see. That is pretty cool. I like that. Hold on, double check the. Oh, he just went offline. Okay, because like I'm not seeing him. Was I spelling his name wrong? Okay. I'd go right over to Cop right now, but I don't know what he's doing. He's just not at his desk. You know what? Zed's on, so we'll go right over to Zed. He's working on... Zed's off, too! Damn it! I need y'all to stay online, guys. Come on. All right, you know what? Johnny Cash is on. Looks like he just came on, so he should be on for a while. He's doing some game dev. But he's doing it in English and Japanese. So we'll go right over to him. Wait, Science isn't on. Surely. I don't know. But yeah, we'll go right over to Johnny. He's doing a little bit of game development right now. I feel like it's fun too. All right, guys. Unfortunately, that is where I've got to wrap it up. Where's the button? There it is. Everyone, y'all have a fantastic rest of your evening. I will catch up with y'all tomorrow night. I hope y'all have a fantastic Sunday tomorrow. I'm going to go take the kids ATV riding so they can get some practice in. And because we got another race coming up next month. We're doing monthly. But that's everything I got for you. I want y'all to know that I appreciate everybody coming in, hanging out, chatting, BSing, working on this little project. It's been fun. So far, it's going really well. And I hope y'all have, like I said, I hope y'all have a fantastic day tomorrow. And I want y'all to remember one very important thing. Well, two things. One, when you get over to Mr. Johnny Cash's stream, drop a bunch of happy hackers in there. And the second thing I want y'all to remember is, I love you. Peace.